company. And this is now taking place right now. Open enrollment for switching your plan or adding a Medicare Part D plan takes place, of course, starting October 15th through December 7th.
I thought Part D was a federal program. Why do you have to go to an insurance company for it?
That is the way Medicare Part D was set up.
Yeah.
You go to an insurance company. You don't go to Medicare or Social Security. Medicare Part D guidelines were set up by the federal government through Medicare, and then the insurance companies actually facilitate the program.
Thank you, Congress. You know, the insurance companies, this is the only country in the world where you have to buy your medical protection from an insurance company, and they take about 30% right across the top in profits and huge salaries and stashes they put away for epidemics.
Well, I'm a state program. I don't do that.
Yeah, no, you're not. I thought you were part of an insurance company. No?
No, actually, EPIC is assistance for our seniors.
Yeah. Okay, now EPIC has been in, let's see, it's been on the books for how long now?
1985, 1986. It's been quite a few years since the EPIC program started. The changes that are happening now are significant. It's the most significant change that's happened since 2001. So a lot of our members really need to pay attention to these changes. We did send them letters about a month ago explaining these changes. But it is part of my job, part of the Office for the Aging job, is to help our members understand what they need to do and what they need to do next. And one of the most significant changes to the program, of course, is having to add the Medicare Part D plan. And starting January 1st, we will cover our members when it counts the most by, of course, assisting with premium assistance and making sure they get coverage through the donut hole or through that coverage gap that we hear so often about with the Medicare Part D plans.
Okay, I noted that if an EPIC member's Part D is being deducted from their Social Security, they've got to inform you. Now why?
Because if we are going to assist our members in paying for their Medicare Part D, Social Security cannot what they call dual bill anyone. So if they're getting their Medicare Part D premium taken out of their Social Security check and they're eligible for the EPIC premium assistance, they need to stop that and let EPIC help them pay for their Part D plan. And of course, if there's anything left over, they will then be billed.
This is for the singles 20 to 23,000 and couples 26 to 29,000 income per year, right?
It's for anything less than 23,000 single and anything less than 29,000 married.
Yeah, okay. Pretty low caps. Of the current 307,000 EPIC enrollees, I assume that's in New York State, of course. Since it is a New York State program. About 36,000 are not in Part D plans. People can't afford the Part D, right?
Possibly that could be it. A lot of the times people aren't in Medicare Part D plans because they have what we consider creditable coverage through a former employer or former union. A lot of our members have been in a Medicare Part D plan for the last several years because we did mandate it. There were some exceptions, of course, but majority of our members for EPIC were already enrolled in Part D.
So you got to get Part D.
You have to get Part D if you're an EPIC member. And of course, if you are in Medicare and you have Part A and Part B, you are eligible for the Part D plan.
Can you just go in and out of it? I thought there was a limit on
Limit on Part D?
Yeah.
You can't go in and out of the program. You join a Part D, that's your primary prescription coverage. If you don't want to be in a Part D plan, you do get penalized if you don't have creditable coverage. But as far as Part D plans, you can decide on one for next year, and if you don't like it, you're eligible to get another one next year.
I think you're right. You have, I think it's open right now, isn't it? Up till November?
Absolutely.
Or December, I guess, up till December.
Yeah, this year the Medicare open enrollment dates were changed. Medicare open enrollment dates are now October 15th, which of course was a week ago today, through December 7th. So traditionally they had been November 15th through December 31st. Medicare decided to change the open enrollment dates this year.
A trick. I don't know, it must be.
It's just to keep everybody on their toes. No, it's
Sure.
to make sure that the insurance companies can process applications the correct way, and to make sure all of our members and all of the seniors can get their brand spanking new insurance cards before January 1st.
One of the golden aspects of the EPIC program was the catastrophic coverage. In other words, if you were you went over a certain amount of your income for drugs, they would cover 100% of the further drugs. Is that still in effect?
For EPIC, what's going to happen next year is we are still going to help our members through what we call the donut hole, or that coverage gap.
The donut hole. Right.
Yes.
Among other things, though. You know.
Yes. When you hit that coverage gap or that donut hole, you are covered at the normal EPIC copays of the $3, the $7, the $15, or the $20.
Well, we'll pursue that a little. We have got a couple calls. You want to call?
Sure.
Take a call. Good morning, caller. Thank you for waiting.
Good morning. I have a question for your guest.
Sure.
I have an elderly father, and I think he's paying way too much for his insurance, and I think he might be buying things that he doesn't need. How do I help him?
How do you help your father possibly compare plans and see if there's any better information for him?
Well, make sure he's not paying for extra policies and all that sort of. Who do I go to?
Well, you can call your local office for the aging. They have what they call HICAP, which is Health Insurance Information Counseling Assistance Program. And you can make an appointment with one of the HICAP representatives, and they'd be happy to help you compare the plans that are available to your father in the area.
And if you go to AARP, they'll help you too. They'll tell you especially how good their program is.
Absolutely.
Go to HICAP. I think that's probably
it's the best way.
It's more neutral.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah, call the Office of Aging and ask Ms. Spanos, Dr. Spanos over there, what should you do? She'll send you in the right direction.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, HICAP. Hi, HICAP. We're sitting here with GabbyDotterweichpt3, who is a state representative, telling us about EPIC. And there is so much to EPIC, and it's so complicated, and the think-speak in EPIC, it gets to the point where it's very hard to understand between the deductibles and non-deductibles. We were talking about the donut hole. Let's explain what the donut hole is, will you, Gabrielle?
Sure. The donut hole with Medicare Part D plans is once you use $2,930 worth of medicine for 2012, that is, that's the new amount for 2012, you hit what they call the coverage gap or the donut hole. And when Medicare Part D first came out, you were responsible for the 100% of the cost of your medicine. Now, due to healthcare reform, they are filling in that donut hole, or they're trying to get that filled in. So this year, or this upcoming year, 2012, our members of Medicare Part D, or people in Medicare Part D, are responsible for 50% of the cost of their brand names and 86% of the cost of their generics. So
this is what Part D is now.
This is what Part D is now. So if they have EPIC, that won't matter because EPIC will be there to support our members through the coverage gap. So let me give you an example. Say you were on a medicine that the retail cost was $500. Okay? If you hit the coverage gap or the donut hole, you are responsible for $250 worth of that medicine, that $500 medicine, if you hit that coverage gap.
If it's not a generic.
If it's a brand name,
If it's a generic,
correct.
It's going to be a lot more, right?
It's going to be 86. You are responsible for 86%. You're getting
Almost
a
all of
14% discount. So if the person has that $250 they're responsible for in there with EPIC, EPIC will, the pharmacist, this is all done at the pharmacy, will see that $250 cost of that medicine. They'll send that medicine on to EPIC, that cost on to EPIC, and we'll see they have a medicine costing more than $55. We will then lower that copay, or that amount that they're responsible for because it's over $55, to $20 copay. They'll walk out of the pharmacy with a $20 copay instead of having to be responsible for that $250. So that's a $230 savings right there.
Now this is when it hits the donut hole.
When they hit the coverage gap or the donut hole, yes.
And when the donut hole means you don't get nothing for a long time. I don't
well,
think
no, you get a discount. You get a discount in the donut hole.
Right.
Now.
80, what? You have to pay 80 some odd percent. That
you get a 14% discount on your generics, and you get 50%.
What kind of help is that? Yeah, right.
Well, they're hoping to have that coverage gap or that donut hole filled in
Yeah.
by the year 2020.
2020.
2020.
We should live so long, seniors, right?
There'll be new seniors by then.
Everybody will be a senior by then, according to the record. All right, Gabrielle, talk to me about the generic. What does the generic mean? When the Part D was set up, as I recall, the chairman of the committee that built it, really, and cut out generics. They weren't allowed to use generics under Part D originally. Now, I don't know whether they've changed that or not, but I do know they couldn't go to the drug companies and say, we'd like a discount because we're buying so much. They had to pay the full amount on it. Incidentally, the chairman quickly resigned, took his millions of dollars in campaign funds, and is now the president of one of the largest pharmaceutical companies in the world, after having set up this plan. I will not mention his name. I should, though, because I think that's scurrilous. They put people in jail. They shoot people in most countries for that. But at any rate, so be it. Tell me about that. We still have a phone call hanging. You want to take a call before we go on? Then we'll talk a little more about generics versus regulars. Good morning, caller. Thank you for waiting.
Good morning.
Good morning.
By the way, under Part D, my generic is covered.
It is, okay.
Yes, I think they must have changed that policy.
I think they did, probably, because it was so absolutely outrageous.
But they still, I don't believe, like, I know the veterans can say, okay, I've got a bazillion, so many veterans, and we're going to buy this particular drug for diabetes, let's say.
Right, they can discount
And they can get discounts because they're buying from exclusively one, and they have a bunch that they're buying for. But I don't believe that we got that right back for the seniors.
Yeah, thanks to the chairman, who's now the president of a large pharmaceutical company.
Yeah, I got you.
Right.
But anyways, I'm on Epic, and I'm not quite sure if I understand it, but as I understand it so far, as it's been explained to me, I think that Epic no longer will be paying for my prescriptions per se. But it might cost me a little bit more going through the Part D. I have to go through Part D first, which before I didn't have to.
Correct.
And I think I might end up paying $3 for a couple of prescriptions that I didn't pay for before, which was the same price that originally I was paying that much, and then I don't know if I got on Epic or if Epic got further funding, so I didn't have to pay for it. But it's only going to make a small amount in what I pay, and we're getting a 3% raise.
You have a question?
No, I was listening to your conversation where you were mentioning what the change was going to be, and I'm saying what I think the change is going to be.
Is that the change it's going to be?
There's going to be several changes. Number one, Epic is free, like I mentioned. Number two, you do have to get a Part D plan, which you are absolutely correct. So far, so good. Number three, we're going to help offer premium assistance. So we will help pay for your Medicare Part D plan, again, under those income guidelines we had mentioned, that $23,000 if you or less if you're single, and $29,000 or less if you're married.
I didn't catch that part.
Yeah, so we'll help you pay for it if your last reported income was under those guidelines. Number four, you will be responsible for your Medicare Part D copays until you hit the coverage gap or the donut hole. And again,
which I will never hit.
well, it doesn't matter if you do hit the coverage gap or that donut hole, because Epic will be there for you, and you will only pay the Epic copays of the $3, the $7, the $15, and the $20.
Right.
So we're going to be there to help you with your premium assistance if you qualify through our assistance, and of course through that coverage gap or that donut hole. So you don't have to be responsible for that 50% of that brand name or that 86% of the generics. So it sounds like you understand the changes pretty much.
I shouldn't have said never. At the rate I'm going now, I only take 3 prescriptions, and they're all generic, so they don't cost that much. And I think, how much is it, $3,000 or something like that before you hit the donut hole?
$2,930 in 2012. So, but you're an Epic member, so you don't even have to worry about that, because we're going to seamlessly slide
Thank
through.
God for Epic.
Exactly.
Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, caller.
Bye-bye.
Send me an envelope. I'll give you a freebie over at the $5 off. That's a $5 bill off at the Lakeview, which is a great restaurant down in Mayville. It's a picture they had of it there. They also have a fish house next to it. They have 2 restaurants. One's called the Docks or something. They just changed the name, some fancy new name.